if you could explain what is the crack?
Hey, the crack.
How can I have the crack? What's the crack?
What is the crack? You are the crack.
Hey guys, welcome back to Audio Crack. On today's show, we got a lot in store. We got the Wonton Dawn calling in from Camp Barstool to talk about. I've been out of the country for the past week. Kind of had to do a bit of a wellness check on a family member who lives outside of the country. So we got into basically, I went back to Africa. So I had to talk to Donnie, and there was some crazy shit. Almost got killed by an elephant. So we get into that, and we're now going to get into a couple stories that a lot of you listeners are sending in. If you have any topics that you want discussed when it comes to something current, definitely DM, tweet at the Audio Crack account, DM at myself, but try to give that Audio Crack Twitter, Instagram a little more action so we can get some more followers and get some growth. So today, one of those was sent to us by Jackson Burns. A German startup is freezing dead bodies to revive them in the future for $200,000. Europe's first crypto preservation startup, Tomorrow Bio, offers to freeze your body in liquid nitrogen. Honestly, this sounds like an ad that I'm reading for you to use this startup to freeze your body for $220,000. It's only $81,000 for brain preservation, and there's already up to 650 customers who've already signed up. This German company was founded in 2020. This is kind of like a no-brainer if you have that type of money. Like, you're dead. You can't use that money anymore. So why not put in your will, I'm putting aside $200,000 to freeze my body just in case. I mean, I know Walt Disney did it. I know Ted Williams did it. The baseball player. And he froze his eyes, I think, because he has such great eyes. So they're stored long-term in a Swiss facility at negative 196 degrees centigrade. This is actually a great business idea because there's probably so many people who'd be willing to spend $200,000 that they don't need anymore. Crazy concept, but there's probably a lot of buyers. I mean, there's so many people who leave $200,000 to charity in their will if they have that kind of money. Like if you have at least, dying with at least $1 million. I mean, it's an internal life in order to, so Ted Williams had his head frozen and preserved, his whole head. So not his body, just his head. That's pretty wild to get yourself decapitated and freeze your head. But I mean, think about it. You have one more chance of living if you freeze your body right after death. I mean, it's pretty, I would do it. I'd actually, if I got to that point where I could pay for it, and I was like, okay. And if it was give my kids, whatever the rest of my money is, or all 200,000 to freezing my body, I wouldn't do it. But if I had enough money, I would absolutely freeze my body because it's a no lose unless you don't get into heaven. That might be the only no lose where it's just you're trapped. You don't get to heaven, but you just freeze and you just see blackness as if you were in a coma, right before you died, and you're just eternal nothingness. That might be that's the only downside I can think of besides not having the money, is if you just were deprived of any afterlife, but then you wake up, but you might have been feeling 1,000 years of darkness and being dead and frozen. That would be the only downside, is the heavens part of it. But pretty good idea. Another story we got coming to you, who it has been requested, but we're going to do a little Billy football segment. We're just going to call it Billy football, where I talk about football because football's coming back. The one thing at training camp that I saw that kind of upset me was Zach Wilson apparently is doing really well in training camp. He threw a touchdown on a slip screen in the preseason game against the Packers, but the dude is balling. He might win the quarterback 2 spot. They think that the number 1 guy is going to be the Oregon quarterback,
Bo Nix.
He used to be at Auburn. You probably know him from. They think he's going to be a starter, but I could see Zach Wilson outperforming him if he gets benched, because I still think Zach Wilson has a high ceiling like Patrick Mahomes. I know it sounds crazy, but Zach Wilson can do more similar things with the football. Like he can do things other quarterbacks can't do just with arm talent. His decision making, poor. We've seen it, but he was in a terrible situation on the Jets. Sam Darnold's about to start for the Vikings. I mean, all these guys who are serviceable quarterbacks find success after leaving the Jets. I could easily see Wilson being another one of these guys, but I think he's different than a lot of those guys because he had such insane arm talent. Kind of hope that he, kind of hope the best for him, because then if my take comes true that I've been squatting on, that he has a ceiling of Patrick Mahomes, which we saw glimpses of in that first Chiefs-Jets game last season. Who knows? I mean, the guy, Patrick Mahomes sat for his first year and grew and got up to speed. Maybe Wilson needs some time to get up to speed and we'll see him there. I know that sounds crazy to everyone who's watched Wilson play. I like the best comparison is maybe his ceiling isn't Patrick Mahomes, but he plays like a drunk Patrick Mahomes. Another story is Aaron Rodgers saying that Coach Saleh and the Jets are, doing tons more reps. They're over 300 plays from scrimmage more than last year. We'll see it, hopefully this doesn't lead to burnout. I mean, you got a pretty old quarterback, but he needs to get the reps. One thing that's been really concerning to me about Aaron Rodgers is his left calf is way smaller than his right calf since the surgery, which happens to a lot, but he's going to lose a lot of explosiveness from, just having less fast twitch muscles in his calf. It's kind of scary. Maybe we can get a picture showing this. But you can see his left calf is tiny compared to his right calf. And he is jack calves. So
does Billy Football play fantasy football?
Yes. So in the past, with the show and all, sort of football takes up so much of my work that I only play in one league. I play in 3 leagues actually. I play in one league for each friend group, like college, high school, family. I actually play way too much fantasy football. I forget. One year I only played one, but then I end up playing. But gotta go. Just like my one scheme every year is just try to get Christian McCaffrey and then everything else figured out from there. Just like I do go with big names, guys. And then anyone who's won me bets from the year before, DK Metcalf. I once had a DK Metcalf, I had a 3 touchdown prop parlay and I just drafted all those guys. But moving on, any more stories? Nick, you have anything you want to talk about before we get into Donnie?
Minshew Mania officially announced the starter.
Oh,
for
awesome.
the Las Vegas Raiders is Gardner Minshew.
Dude, Minshew's a baller and he's been hanging around in this league for so long. Former Cougar. Another Cougar who's in the news. I mean, I can't wait to watch Minshew more in the preseason, like in the regular season. I really want to see him succeed.
Hey, if they don't have that drop on 4th and 1 in week 17, they go to the playoffs. He's still with the Colts probably.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know because they have Anthony Richardson. So
Anthony Richardson apparently is looking terrible in preseason.
All I know is I lost money on that 4th and 1, but
yeah. Anthony Richardson was in preseason. Apparently the players on the other team they were playing because it was an inter squad. It was a joint team practice getting reps and they were yelling at Anthony Richardson to give his receivers a chance. He's just not throwing the football. He's just running around. But super athlete.
D3, I totally forgot. You're a D3 guy. Los Angeles Rams, JJ Lapp caught a touchdown. SUNY Cortland.
Yes.
He caught that's from my neighborhood. Dude, shout out JJ Lapp.
We should try to get him on the show. JJ Lapp, come on. Nicky Quinn, he DM'd you already. Check him out.
He's trying to stay locked in for this weekend. But yeah. We'll get him.
If he does make the team, we'll just have him on.
He definitely will make the team.
Hopefully he gets on. I mean, I don't think thing is we could snag him. We could
definitely snag him
because if hopefully you don't think he's going to come home before the season starts.
They do. I think they get a week in between now because it's only 3 preseason games.
We should try to get him.
I would love that. Yeah.
Another Cougar that's in the news is Ryan Leaf. He's saying that he had a feud with narcissists Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit led to his ESPN downfall. Ryan Leaf, great comeback story. He's got a great story.
He went to jail, right?
Yeah, he went to jail. He was addicted to cough syrup. Honestly, at when you have Johnny Manziel. Well, Johnny Manziel is.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah, but Ryan Leaf, he's, was doing great calling games, telling his story. And Pat McAfee and Kirk Herbstreit, apparently he alleges got him kicked out of ESPN. So, can kind of see that when there's $85 million contracts at stake. And, the thing is, a lot of guys aren't, I think McAfee's contract's $85 million. A lot of guys, even though they're really great talent and there's always, a spot at the trough type thing. Like if they get too big and the contracts get too inflated, a lot of times ESPN will be like, we'll save $100 million if we just pay Ryan Leaf, as opposed to you almost don't ask for too much money.
I wonder what RG3's contract was, because they just cut him.
That's like another one of those things. So guys, I think, get paranoid at the top like that. I mean, with such huge contracts that there's so much money at stake that, they're mitigating risk and trying to be like, even if he did, I kind of understand how that happens. It's kind of one of those things. Media gets cutthroat. I mean, RG3 de facto was a good talent. Like his stuff he was posting, his commentary was hilarious. I think he probably asked, his contract was up. He asked for big money. I think he deserved it. Like he did, and they were just like, no, you're not worth it. You're too big of the trough. We got to pay McAfee and stuff.
They said it was the picture of the croissant that did it.
Yeah.
That was the last thing he posted before he got canned.
Yeah, but that's great content. I mean, even though he's getting roasted for eating a giant croissant and looking like he's making out with it, that's amazing content. So yeah. So I think we're going to get into Donnie. Donnie does check out his new live stream stuff. This interview, warning, it's going to be a little choppy. He was trying to call in from Camp Barstool. But Donnie's a great friend. He always comes, on when I ask him. So, thanks for coming on, Donnie, and, enjoy the interview with Donnie. Welcome back to Audio Crack. We have a very special guest and a lot of special topics today. I've had a pretty crazy week, and of traveling, first off, and the only person who would probably even understand some of the stuff that happened was Donnie does. Donnie, fresh off the Olympics, came back from Paris, did some crazy shit there. Donnie, great to talk to you. Great to hear from you. There's just so much that's happened since the last time we spoke.
Yes, a lot has gone down since I've been on Audio Crack. I'm calling in live right now from Camp Barstool. I'm in the mess hall, so it's a little loud around here. I think this is where I get the best internet. But yeah, got back from the Olympics and then came straight to a camp in northern Wisconsin. But where have you been? Because I saw a tweet that you were talking about Air India, and I was like, why the hell is Billy getting on an Air India flight?
So that was actually because I was in JFK and that was only one of the lounges that was open. And I, with a priority pass, I could get in there. Great lounge, goated. All there is beers in a mini fridge and ramen noodles. So it was kind of like my college dorm room, but just goated setup. Donnie, thank you for joining once again, kind of short notice from Camp Barstool. But Donnie, some are saying that you might be patient zero for monkeypox in the U.S. after diving in the Seine.
Why is that?
Didn't you jump in the Seine?
Yes, I went for a nice 10 to 15 minute swim in the Seine. People were very worried about me contracting E. coli. I don't think you can get monkeypox from swimming in a dirty river.
Yeah, I mean, monkeypox is running rampant. So recently, and Donnie knows about this relative I have, but I had to do a wellness check overseas for my relative who kind of had gone off the map and we hadn't heard from him in a long time. So we went out there. Everything's fine. It was good to see the person, but at one point we were wondering if we were going to have to try to figure out how to fly his remains back and all sorts of issues that we were getting prepared, but we were able to then find him. It's all good, but it took me to one of my favorite continents that Donnie and I have both traveled to together. I went back to Africa for a third time in the past 9 months. So, and it was wild.
And you were in Namibia, right?
Yeah, I was in this part of Namibia where there's a panhandle that goes to Victoria Falls. So I was actually in between Namibia and Botswana trying to sort of track down where my relative was. But crazy things happened. Got off the plane. They lost my luggage. So like some people pack for weeks of supplies to bring to Africa because, you know, like there's mosquitoes. You want to bring repellent. You want to bring your best bug gear. So I lost everything off the jump. So I bought clothes in the market across the street from the airport, and I was rocking just a soccer jersey and joggers almost the entire trip. But basically, one of the things I wanted to, I wasn't going to even talk about this trip because it was supposed to be just, you know, all business. But, you know, 2 incidents happened that I'll share.
Maybe they don't have a lot of trains in Namibia, so like everything's transported via these enormous trucks.
No, but these are just pickup trucks. So I'm driving down the road. It's weird. I'm in a third world country. There's like tons of, you know, cows that are walking into the road, you know, goats, sort of something, you know, that you can sort of quantify in your brain. But, you know, this trip that I was on, you know, wasn't supposed to be a vacation, was there for one reason, to check up on a family member and who we hadn't heard from in a long time. And I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden I think that a tree is falling into the road. But when my brain calculates what this large dark object going into the road is, it's a fucking elephant. I almost fucking hit an elephant while driving.
And this was at night?
It was like the sun was setting. We were trying to get to our location as fast as possible because, you know, driving after dark in that location would have been ridiculous. But it was, all of a sudden, it was just like, and it was such a large thing that it took up the entire road so fast. But as soon as it saw, and I don't think anyone would even believe the story unless I got video of the actual elephant leaving. Well, because I turned around to take a quick vid. It went into the road and then saw that a car was coming and then just ran right back into the bush. But the scariest thing was this thing came out of the bush and went back in and disappeared, you know, 10 meters. Like, even though it's such a large animal, its ability to move through the brush and go camouflage so quickly was terrifying. So then I was just terrified that I was going to get gored by an elephant the whole rest of the ride. But there's way too many elephants in that part of the world. Like they need to like take those elephants and put them elsewhere to create more breeding populations because that was insane.
Yeah, I've actually been to that part of the world, and there's a national park in northern Botswana called Chobe. And there the elephants are like squirrels in America. Like literally you're just driving down the road. They're all over the sides of streets. They even become such a big problem where they have to cull them. And they just do these like massive drive-by shootings, and they're like allowed to kill a certain amount of the population. I mean,
it was the craziest thing because they destroy communities. There's so many, but the funniest thing was I went on this trip on very short notice because it gotten so many weeks without contact where it was like, okay, we got to get out there as soon as possible and see what's going on. And I didn't really research. The only thing I researched was the roads, how to get there, and printed out directions because as I found out when I got there, there's no internet service. And I was, you know, going through and I had no idea. Like I wasn't in a wildlife park. I wasn't in a safari junction. It just popped up out of nowhere and it was terrifying. So I had to share that with somebody. Like, you get it. Like,
yes. I have actually been to Namibia before because I went abroad to Botswana, and then afterwards I was like, what's a cool place to check out? And I was like, Namibia is close by. I know the Panhandle area is a big like trophy fishing area. There's like a river there that's famous where people catch these like really prized fish to frame them on their walls after they get taxidermied.
I think they're like tigerfish.
I think so. That sounds right.
So then the next day I'm driving and all of a sudden I see this large, you know, lump on the side of the road. It's a fucking hippo. So I pull over and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a fucking...
Were you near water?
Not that I knew of. because I was just looking at the road. So there was a hippo, and hippos, come out of the water at night, and they actually run around because it's cool, and that's when they do a lot of their eating. And then the day they're just sitting in the water. So someone must have hit this hippo, and it must have been a super large truck because this hippo is big. It's built like an actual pickup truck. Like the hippo is probably the same size as my truck. So anyway, I'm there. A guy's there, a local, I think I'm in Botswana at this point. A local Botswanan was there next to the road, next to the body. And he's on the phone. And I'm like, is this like normal? And he goes like, yes, they're very normal. But the sun was setting again at this point. So I had to like get going. So I got the guy's number because he told me that within the next hour and a half that the whole village was going to come butcher this hippo, and it's going to be skin and bones in about 2 hours. I couldn't stay to watch it and record it because it was getting dark. And, honestly, I didn't have the best camera. And I needed to get to my next destination to keep on my same time frame. And then I got this guy's WhatsApp, and he sends me photos an hour and a half later of this hippo just butchered. Like literally they chopped him up, and the hippo meat actually looked like better than a side of beef. It was insane. But the crazy thing was they cut the eyes out first, which I don't know if it's a delicacy in the region or it's like they use it as like traditional medicine, but they just chopped up this hippo. And it's the craziest photos I've ever seen about like piranhas taking down a whole chicken, but it's a goddamn hippo.
Damn. The only time I've heard of that happening was Sidney Wells's dad went on a hippo hunting trip in Africa. And then afterwards, he was like really happy because he was like, this hippo is going to be able to feed this African village for the next like week or two.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. And apparently they do that with elephants too. Like the government doesn't care as long as they don't take the ivory.
Yes. Yep. It's like, because they do have to cull the elephants sometimes. And so they probably give all that meat back to the local communities, but the government takes the ivory. So it doesn't go to the ivory trade.
Sorry, I've been dominating the conversation. I just need to get those two stories out of the way because that was just a wild experience. And thank God everything ended up okay. And we're back now. So, it was a quick excursion. But it was just like, have you ever seen anything like that? I said as soon as that happened, I sent Donnie the text.
Yeah, I mean, I saw an elephant carcass when I was with ZA in Zimbabwe, but that was just rotting away. Like there was nobody harvesting the meat.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So next time I'm just thinking, just brainstorming here. Would you want to do a road trip in Namibia for content?
I wouldn't say no.
I mean, if we can figure it out, if we can get the concept approved, we would be able to do it super cheaply. I know where to go now, and it's actually way safer than even Uganda. Like it was,
Oh, for sure.
It was very well put. Like the roads were beautiful in Namibia, but like we could do and actually like spend time. We could do self safari, which is because these trucks are crazy. And like, instead of, we don't have to pay anybody. We just need to pay for diesel gas and plane tickets, and we could have a fucking awesome time.
Yeah. And we could end the road trip in a place called Swakopmund in Namibia. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's like the craziest place I've been because you're driving through the African desert for 6 hours. And then you come across this like German town that looks straight out of Germany. Like all of the architecture, all of the food, like most of the people, because it's all German tourists, and even the locals kind of have a German accent because Namibia was one of the few German colonies in Africa.
Whoa. South. Yeah. They call it like Southwest.
Yes. Something like that.
And it was crazy. I wish I could have spent way more time out there in a different, but I just, I think it would be a great Donnie and Billy road trip, African road trip.
Yeah.
It would be fun. And it's a lot easier to navigate than I thought. And since I've driven there now and I've actually done a lot of off-roading there, like we could, I kind of know my way around the place. So that would be something. So if we can figure it out, are you in? Also, congratulations. Congratulations. That was supposed to be the first thing I was going to say off the top of the map.
Yes, I do have a kid coming down the pipes in February.
So
it's going to be a boy.
Oh, wow. Congrats, dude. Boy dad.
Yes.
Time to ask you if you want to go on an African road trip. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I could find some time down the line. I do know that Botswana and Namibia are very safe. South Africa, not so much. Like a road trip through South Africa, I don't know if we would fare as well.
No, not at all. But that would be pretty cool. Would you? I mean, I almost would do it if we could just should we do it and then try to see if we can expense it later? No, but we'll figure that out down the line. But that would be sick content. I mean, literally, I wasn't even trying to create content, and I came across like crazy shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, if we only expensed flights and gas and paid for everything else ourselves, it probably wouldn't even be too expensive.
Absolutely. So hopefully in the near future down the line, we can get something like that together. So how was hanging out with Snoop Dogg in the USA house?
That was cool. It caught me completely off guard. I did not know he was going to be there. So then I was just like, oh shit, it's Snoop. And he was there to hang out with all of the athletes. And so I felt kind of bad taking up too much of his time. So didn't interact with him as long as I would have wanted. But yeah, that was cool. We had some people invite us to the Team USA training center. And one time we went and we ran into Snoop. The other time we went, we just ran into Bam Adebayo. And we got to talk to a bunch of elite Team American athletes.
Now, they were paying Snoop $500,000 a day to be there, which is pretty nuts.
It is nuts, but they also he was everywhere. He was on the broadcast. He was hanging out with all the athletes. He was at all the parties. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's worth it. I don't know if maybe Snoop Dogg commentating gets a lot of people to watch the Olympics that wouldn't otherwise.
How are the elite athletes? What was the Olympic Village like?
I was not allowed in the village. It didn't have those credentials. But all the athletes I met were super friendly. They're not like professional athletes in the US where they're constantly being hounded by journalists. It's kind of like just these 2 weeks every 4 years that the spotlight is on them. So almost everybody I reached out to was more than happy to meet up.
Oh, that's awesome. How what kind of jobs did a lot of them have? Because in some of these sports, it can't be that lucrative as basically a day job. So what were some of the funniest regular jobs that some of these elite athletes had?
The ones I met were on the younger side. So they could afford not to commit to a full job yet. They were kind of they were going to see how this panned out. They were maybe a few years out of college, at most. But I know some of the women's rugby team, one of those girls was already in school to become a physical therapist. Mm-hmm. Because long term, I don't know if she'll be able to make a living playing rugby. And then a lot of the athletes were just right out of college. One of the Olympic kayakers I met was 16 years old or something. So she doesn't have a job yet. Did you hear the story of, I think he was an Australian male field hockey player, mm-hmm. and he got his finger amputated so he could play in the Olympics?
That's football guy. That's football guy move.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's a field hockey guy move too, because he broke his finger. He broke his finger really bad, and they were like, okay, you either have to sit this Olympics out, or if you really want to play, we could amputate it. And he was like, chop it off.
You know what's crazy is that I wonder if field hockey overseas a little more like ice hockey, where it's tough as fuck? Because that is I could easily see an ice hockey player amputate.
I think so, but it's only so I think it's big in the Netherlands for males, Australia, India, maybe Germany as well. But most of the other European countries where it's really cold, like the Scandinavian countries, they're just playing ice hockey.
Yeah. So Matt Dawson amputated a portion of his finger to play. Yeah. I mean, think about how many ice hockey players have lost fingers, which is actually pretty important, especially when you're holding a stick. So like football, like we had, Shaquem Griffin, Shaq Griffin, who played without a hand. So like, but in hockey, because your mandibles are so important, like that's like, there is a chance to put yourself at a disadvantage doing that.
Yeah. If it was like his pinky, maybe he'd be okay. But it was the top of his ring finger, which is rough.
Oh, damn. How was live streaming the Olympics? I saw you ran into Jake Marsh and Max.
Yes. It was a lot of fun. You had to work out the time zone change and stuff. And then like, obviously Barstool's always doing a bunch of live stuff back in the office. So it was like I wanted to do a stream on like a late night stream on Friday night. I was going to try to do a sunset to sunrise stream. But then I was like, oh, Rough and Rowdy's going on back in the US. Like Dave Portnoy's not going to like me doing a live stream during Rough and Rowdy. So you had to work out those kinks, but the live stream pack has been working very well. I've been doing live streams from camp, and then I talked to Biz Nasty. We're going to try to live stream like a 6-hour hike up a mountain. So yeah. And like, if that works out well, I might try to turn that into like a monthly thing, once a month, because if I buy another battery pack, I could do 12-hour streams. And so like a monthly 8-hour hike would be sweet in various national parks around the country.
How long does your battery pack usually go? Just one?
Just one. It could probably do 4 hours.
Oh, wow. Why the pivot to streaming?
Yeah.
I see that there's so much more streaming now. Is it just easier than cutting full YouTube videos and you still get the same types of clips?
Yeah. So I'll still be doing pre-recorded content. We were just able to work out a deal with Unlimited IRL and Live U Solo, where if we bought a backpack, they would cover the data costs for the first year. And so it's something I've always wanted to experiment with. Like at an event like the Olympics, you got to get the content out right away or it's not relevant. So it was nice having there. You could just do live content. And the streaming backpack works in 100 countries. You just like turn it on and go live, and it's been working perfectly. But I will still definitely be doing like pre-recorded, edited content like our Uganda series as well. It's just having the live stream backpack as an option has been awesome. And I haven't even used it to its full potential yet.
Is it having success, getting good viewership?
Yeah, the streams have been growing. I think it's just a matter of like, if I had some sort of consistent schedule, like, okay, Donnie's going to be live on these 2 days from like this time to this time, that would help even more. But I think it's like, it's cool doing the streams when there's like a goal in mind. Like either you have to get from point A to point B, or you have to find like a certain amount of this thing. Like I wonder if the live stream pack would have worked like on our gorilla trek, and you just like live stream a 7-hour trek trying to find gorillas.
I mean, if you got that hornet attack on stream, that would have been insane. Hey,
yeah,
maybe African road trip.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun doing the streams when you like have someone else there with you. There were times in Paris where it was just me solo with the camera, and that obviously complicates things.
Did you get stream sniped at all?
Yes, multiple times.
I feel like stream sniping isn't the best term.
Yeah. All of the stream snipes I've had have been positive experiences. Actually, there was this Algerian dude who had me sign a football because he had like seen my Chinese. He saw my Chinese football series, and then he saw the series that we did in Uganda. And he's like Algerian, but plays football. And he like brought me his football to sign, which was very cool.
That is awesome. Should we try to see if Namibia has a football team?
I don't know, but did you hear that the current like QB for the U.S. flag football team, he got very offended when people were like, we got to let the NFL players play for Team USA in the next Olympics. And he was like, no. It's a completely different skill set than actual football. I would be way better than Russell Wilson as QB. And this is like a 35-year-old who's like 130 pounds. And he's just like, there's no physicality in flag football. It's like a narrower field. So NFL players wouldn't be good at it. And he's the guy for the job.
Yeah, no, I've heard that argument. There, like some of the flag guys are shiftier and the way they're elusive is different. It's more of like dancing and hip, like using your hips so your flags move in a certain way. But I think from a pure route running and passing concept, like, they should be able to get around the curve within like the first 2 weeks of playing. Like if Patrick Mahomes isn't slinging it for America, then we shouldn't even play in the games. If we're not sending our best, then we shouldn't send anybody at all.
You'd have a lot more people watching too if you had Patrick Mahomes out there. And yeah, I think that's actually one thing he said. He's like, well, I know how to, there's like certain moves you got to do out there to avoid having your flags pulled. And he's like, it's not like your normal moves that a running back would do in American football.
Yeah, so the exact quote from Daryl Duchette is, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm better than Patrick Mahomes because of my IQ of the game. I know he's right now the best in the league, but when it comes to flag football, I know more than him. I mean, that is an angle. They should definitely just make all the best NFL players play whatever team this is, and whoever wins go to the Olympics. Like, prove them wrong.
Yeah, I think just having an open tryout would be very fair.
And this guy's 5'7". I think you said that before. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yep.
I mean, I guess if there's no line to look over, then height doesn't matter anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, Donnie, unless you got anything else you want to bring up, thank you so much for hopping on. Sorry to everyone who's listening if the audio isn't up to snuff, but had to talk to Donnie about Africa again.
Yes, we'll have to do this again once I'm back in Chicago and I'll be hooked up to a good connection and I'll have a microphone. The only thing I have to add is that the football equipment that we collected and then raised money to have shipped is currently on a boat on its way to Uganda. So it is in transit.
Amazing. Sweet. We gotta let the boys know on the ground, the guys, that we got the gear coming. So that's great news. How long has it been on the boat?
Yes, it is. Maybe a week now.
Oh boy. Well,
it's got to go from Houston. It left the port of Houston and now it's on its way to maybe Mombasa. I don't know.
Well, hopefully we can logistics.
It's going to get there. It's going to get there.
Oh my God, logistics in Africa are crazy.
Yep.
Awesome talking to you, Donnie. Please, anytime you want to come on, congrats again. Hopefully you can get that road trip going. Would be sick. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for dropping in.
Yep. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, man.
Peace.
That was a great interview with Donnie. And now for a new segment where we're going to get some more conspiracy back into the pod. We're going to go into the conspiracy corner. This is coming out of Europe. We have the death of Britain's Bill Gates when his super yacht sank in a freak tornado in the Mediterranean, which just sounds crazy. I did not know they had tornadoes off the coast of Italy. But at the same time, his partner, another tech executive, Stephen Chamberlain, was hit after he was jogging and he got hit by a car. The first British there was Mike Lynch. So Mike Lynch and Stephen Chamberlain, they were both colleagues. Just something to look at. I think more will come out. They were both just acquitted of overinflating a company's value before sale, which means that, maybe if you're the company who bought the company overpriced and it was because it was forgery, you think, and you wanted to, get some revenge. Look, it's a wild world out there. A lot of money involved. So could have gotten them clipped. Who knows? But that's our conspiracy corner. We're now going to go to our producer, Nicky Quinn, do some listener questions. Always love these. Keep sending them in. Keep sending articles you like. We'll always bring stuff to the table, but always like to see if you guys want something spoken about. Here they are.
Before we get into the questions, the one thing for the conspiracy corner, I know you would appreciate this. I saved it from yesterday. A 15-year-old creates a soap that could help prevent and treat skin cancer. That's awesome. That's great. I went right to the comments because I thought the comments were going to be exactly what I thought they were, and they were. And it was, "Rip, bro, thanks for trying. Sad, goddamn, watch over and protect him in Jesus' name." I'm basically saying the government's watching, and that, yeah.
If it could prevent cancer, that's huge. There are a lot of like soaps and products and stuff with carcinogens in them. So if you're anything better than that, and like a lot of brands.
What do you think about cereal? Because I know a lot of people now are getting into like how cereal is actually like terrible for you.
No, cereal is actually like really bad for you.
Yeah.
Cereal was saying that cereal was like heart healthy and stuff. And like basically the whole food pyramid in general was a trick to sell like widespread products. Like making cereal is very lucrative. The margins are super high. They're selling you basically stuff that should be, was given to livestock, like to feed them and fatten them up. They pass it off as like a super heart healthy cereal. Like it is good for bulking, but you shouldn't be just eating only carbs. Like I remember I used to eat like 3 bowls of Cheerios for dessert instead of like, yeah.
Were they honey nut or plain?
Plain.
Oh, wow. That's
a
rough dessert.
Like with a milkshake. I would put protein. It was a protein powder.
When was this?
This was like in high school. I put on like 70 pounds in a year.
Yeah, you don't win the championship without some Cheerios.
You don't win the Miffle championship without, you made an amazing.
I watched that. I watched it on YouTube, some of it the other day, and I'm really pissed because the audio on that video is like way not synchronized. If you go back on YouTube, they have the whole game. And it's just like you watch one play, but the audio is just from a different play. So I was going to sync it up. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah. That game was insane. I threw a lot of picks that game.
The game I watched how it ended, and the fumbled snap was crazy. Yeah. I could not believe that. It was like the Romo situation.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was
2-point conversion for the win.
Basically the last high school football game I played in was a slugfest. And, I kind of got killed. Like I was concussed I couldn't even talk straight. I literally was slurring my words in the third quarter, and I threw some of the worst interceptions ever. But it came down to the wire, and basically they were kicking a field goal to go up with like 10 seconds left.
No, it was tied.
Oh, it was tied?
Yeah. It was 41-40. They were kicking the extra point to tie the game to go to overtime or whatever happens in a championship game. And the fumbled snap happens. It might have looked like a fake. If it was a fake, it was a terrible fake, but they couldn't get the snap properly. And instead of going for the kick, he kind of had a guy out right, but he just didn't throw it.
So he made that call. That other kid on the other team, he disobeyed his coach and went for 2 for the win when he could have tied up the game and go to overtime. So I remember getting ready for overtime, warming up and like doing smelling salts and trying to get my mind right, because like I was taking a lot of hits that game. Great players on that MK team. They fumbled the snap and we won by 1, 41-40.
Shout out Hackley.
Insane game. But yeah, when I was running all those touchdowns in, that was just freaking Cheerios and protein powder.
Now let's do some questions. What did Billy think of North Dakota when on his road trip?
North Dakota is pretty awesome. There was a lot of stretches of just farms. Drove through a reservation. That was cool. Listen to a reservation radio because I saw like a TikTok about it, and it was they had some great DJs. The slang is something that I won't ever be able to pick up, but it's like it's kind of crazy how such an isolated population can develop such a different culture so quickly. Yeah, shout out the res radios.
Do you wish you would have made a different college choice for a better college experience?
Yeah, if you gotta go to a place where you can definitely play if you want to play a sport, like where they want you to play, not like we'll take you, like that they want you. And like
We have a spot for you.
Yeah, you're 18. You're just like, I just want to play. Like I'll definitely beat out anybody. Because then you might be stuck in a bad situation. And, especially when you like, the only thing you liked about the school was that it was a good school and there was football. And you could play football there, like actually like the school without football.
Take football out of the equation. What were you thinking about? Like, where were we going to go?
I was gonna try to be a Navy SEAL if football.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's such a ridiculous thing to say now, but like that was like, yeah, okay, so here's my plan. Play in college, go to the NFL, like try to make it out of D3, go to the NFL. I mean, I was completely ridiculous, but then I was like, okay, if that doesn't work out, Navy SEALs. I have one of my teammates is trying to be a Navy SEAL right now, and like a couple guys I grew up with.
Damn.
Yeah. So it's not like impossible.
I could never be a SEAL.
Yeah.
Don't they don't they take you down like underwater, like with like, your hands tied?
Dude, they regularly.
And you gotta fucking untie your hands underwater and get out of there.
Dude, there was a guy who died recently. They had to like change the whole program.
I couldn't even do that in like the bottom of a fucking pool.
Yeah. But big school, small school, just make sure you like the school before
Actually visit the fucking campus.
Yeah, visit the campus, ask people what it's like. You know, it depends. You know, if it's like a really good academic school where it's like you get great jobs coming out of it and you're just there, like just like that's the, you know, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And it's like sucks while you're there, or just have fun and meet a lot of people. You'll never know. Like alumni connections are huge. So yeah, big school, small school, definitely go to a big school if you like to party, and you know, don't like try to play because there's intramural sports. At the end of the day, no one cares unless you're going D1 about what you did in college playing sports, because then you'll realize that there was people who lost their identity of sports way before the end of college, and you're still like, you have D3 dudes like telling girls at bars like, yo, dude, I played college, small school. I played football at the small school, like thinking that like that works on people who don't go to the school.
It doesn't work?
No, not at all. Like they're not impressed. They don't care what you did in college. They'll treat you just like the guy who sat in a frat house drinking for 4 years straight. Like the same.
Do they have 2-a-days at D3?
Not anymore. Going to high school in the days of 2-a-days, and now that that's illegal, that's kind of like
Wait, it's illegal in high school?
Yeah, it's illegal.
I did a 2-a-days.
Yeah. So like
Damn.
we're the last of a dying breed we did 2-a-days.
Wow.
They do 4 days in the military.
It was like 7 to like 10 a.m. and then you gotta go back at like 5 o'clock to like 7:30.
Yeah.
And coaches never respected the timelines
Yeah.
and the time restrictions. They were just gonna go until
It was
they felt
elite.
like it.
It was elite.
Nothing like a locker room.
Yeah.
All right, last one is my question personally. Was Billy football part of the scooping epidemic in middle school? Back, if you don't know what scooping is, it's when you take a skinny guy goes up to a bigger fella and he tries to scoop him. He goes through the shirt like this.
So
it goes a little scoop and they take a little here. And scarred for life on those.
Sneaky in 5th grade, I was fat. Before I grew.
Really?
Yeah. Before I hit puberty, I like was trying to eat a bunch to like put on muscle, and it all turned to fat. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I hit puberty and I got a growth spurt, and I was like 6'1" in 8th grade. And so I was on either end of the scoop epidemic. But we were scoop and dunking. Scoop dunk.
Kai Donahue, Murphy Junior High School. He left, he moved, he transferred away before I can get my revenge, but he led the scooping epidemic.
Jeez. Anything else, or are we gonna wrap?
I want you to ask me one of those Sopranos questions.
Okay, I got you. Nicky Quinn, we're gonna have Glenny Balls on one time, and we're gonna have Glenny face off against Nicky Quinn in a Sopranos trivia question. So, Nicky Quinn, if you don't get this one, we're not gonna run this with.
You're reading the wrong side.
Okay. Tony likes to A, barbecue, B, collect stamps, or C, play Scrabble.
Tony likes to barbecue.
Yeah. Near the end of season 1, Big Pussy disappears. True or false?
True.
All right. Tony, true or false? Tony kills Richie April before Richie can kill Tony.
Richie April and no. Tony doesn't kill him.
So true or false? Tony kills Richie April before Richie can kill Tony?
False. Oh, true. Oh, okay. Wait, wow.
No, false.
Yeah, okay, why are you throwing me off like this?
Okay, sorry. Who said that? She could fall in a sewer pipe and she'd come up holding a gold watch in each hand. Who said that? She could fall in a sewer pipe and she'd come up holding a gold watch in each hand.
I want to say it's Uncle Junior.
True. Oh, man.
He was big into quotes.
In season 4, Furio is tempted to kill Tony by what gruesome means?
He's going to push him in front of the helicopter as he's taking a piss.
The helicopter?
It's a chopper.
It's a chopper?
Read the question one more time.
Actually, that is right, but this says push him into an airplane propeller.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, all right, Nicky, if we have Glenny on, we'll have you verse him. Sweet. Well, thank you all for listening.
Made the cut.
This has been a pretty crazy week for me. So, this was a last minute episode, but hope you enjoy the crazy stories. Definitely check this out on YouTube because I'm going to be giving Nicky Quinn some of the content from the trip. It was pretty insane.
Like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, everything. YouTube helps a lot.
Check it out.
Mess around with the nightlife or the bright lights or the women who won't be my wife. He told me, Sonny, leave them vices on the shelf. Oh, but the dog's in the dive with a silver bullet, and if a keg's alive, I'm singing, hey man, pull it, till the barkeep started calling me the saint. Save my soul. Ever since I